2 Kings chapter 7. And Elisha said, Hear the word of the Lord. Thus says the Lord, At this same hour tomorrow, a measure of fine flour shall be sold for a shekel, and 2 measures of barley for a shekel, at the gate of Samaria. And the tribune responded, upon whom the king rested upon his hand, to the man of God, and said, And if the Lord should make a torrent in the heaven, shall this thing be? And Elisha said, Behold, you shall see with your eyes, but you shall not eat from there. And 4 men, lepers, were by the door of the city, and said one man to his neighbor, Why do we sit here until we die? If we should say, We should enter into the city, and the famine is in the city, then we shall die there. And if we sit here, then we shall die. And now, come, and we shall fall into the camp of Syria. If they should bring us forth alive, then we shall live. And if they should kill us, then we shall die. And they rose up in the darkness to enter into the camp of Syria. And they entered into a part of the camp of Syria, and behold, there was not a man there. And the Lord made audible in the camp of Syria a sound of chariots, and a sound of horses, and a sound of a great force. And each man said to his neighbor, Behold, the king of Israel has hired against us the kings of the Hittites and the kings of the Egyptians to come against us. And they rose up and ran away in the darkness, and they abandoned their tents and their horses and their donkeys, as was in the camp, and fled for their lives. And these lepers came unto a part of the camp, and entered into one tent, and ate and drank, and lifted from there silver and gold and clothes, and went forth and hid everything. And they returned and entered into another tent, and they took from there, and went forth and hid them. And said one man to his neighbor, We are not thus doing right. This day is a day of good news, and we keep silent, and are waiting until the light of the morning, and we shall find iniquity. Now then, come, we should go and announce to the house of the king. And they entered and yelled by the gate of the city, and they announced to them, saying, We entered into the camp of Syria, and behold, there is not there a man nor a voice of a man, but only a horse being tied, and a donkey being tied, and their tents as they are. And they called the doorkeepers, and they announced to the house of the king inside. And the king rose up in the night, and said to his servants, I shall report indeed to you what the Syrians have done to us. They know that we hunger, and they went forth from out of the camp to hide in a field, saying, They shall come forth from out of the city, and we shall seize them alive, and shall enter into the city. And answered one of his servants, and said, Let them take indeed 5 of the horses, of the ones being left behind, which they left behind here. Behold, they are for all the multitude of Israel faltering, for we will send there and see. And they took 2 riders of horses, and the king of Israel sent them after Syria, saying, Go and see. And they went after them unto the Jordan, and behold, all the way was full of clothes and items which the Syrians tossed in their being distraught. And the messengers returned and announced to the king. And the people came forth and tore in pieces the camp of Syria. And a measure of fine flour became worth a shekel, and 2 measures of barley for a shekel, according to the saying of the Lord. And the king placed the tribune, upon whom the king rested upon his hand, over the gate. And the people trampled him at the gate, and he died, as the man of God said, who spoke with the messenger coming down to him. And it came to pass, as Elisha said to the king, saying, 2 measures of barley for a shekel, and a measure of fine flour for a shekel, and it will be at this hour tomorrow at the gate of Samaria." And the tribune answered to the man of God and said, "And if the Lord should make a torrent in the heaven, shall this thing be?" And the man of God said, "Behold, you will see with your eyes, but from there you will not eat." And it came to pass thus, and the people trampled him at the gate, and he died.